Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's finally time to give you what you've been asking for. You guys have been asking me to do my updated manga collection for 2023 for months now, and it's taken me a bit longer than I would have wanted just because I have packages coming in. You know, I have only natural sunlight to record my videos with, so I have to find the right day, the right time to record, but today, I'm finally doing it. I'm giving you guys my updated manga collection for 2023. The manga collection you are about to see has little to no filler whatsoever, meaning everything I have on my shelves I really do like. I've also read over 90% of my entire manga collection, that is over 1,000 volumes, so I have a lot of things to say about a lot of these series, and hopefully I'll be able to persuade you in this video to pick up and try a few of my favorites. And the last thing about my manga collection that I think makes it so great is that I have a lot of unique stuff that you really won't see anywhere else, whether it be out of print series or underrated manga that just nobody else really has or talks about. You're gonna see it all in this manga collection video, so hopefully you guys enjoy the video. If you do, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get right into my manga collection for 2023. Alright, so let's get started with the 2023 manga collection. In typical fashion, we're going to start off here on the brown shelf. At the very top, starting it all out, we have Devilman 1 and 2 in the Seven Seas Classic Collection. Go Nagai, super influential. He's up there with like Tezuka in those ranks. You know, these classic creators with some amazing series under the belt. Devilman, definitely one of his best. Next to that, we have volumes 1 through 15 of Battle Royale. Infamous manga series for its extremely over-the-top gore, but basically a pioneer in the battle royale genre, as you can probably tell by the title. But again, super influential. It has its flaws, but still really enjoy this one. Also, you can see up on top we have volume 1 of Baron Gong Battle, which is actually by the same manga. I picked this up at a used store, haven't read it, but looks pretty interesting. And then switching up a little bit, we have Eyes by Masakazu Katsura, volumes 1 through 9, 10, missing 11, and 15, which are really rare volumes. Yeah, this one I have not gotten into yet, but I read VO Girl I read Shadow Lady, and this is actually the series that I'm going to read next. I put up a poll on my Instagram yesterday at ThePromG, definitely drop me a follow. This is going to be the next manga series I start, so looking forward to getting into this one. Now moving down, we have a manga series that is always right here on the shelf because it's just built perfectly to sit right here, but that is Lone Wolf and Cub, volumes 1 through 28. One of the most influential manga to ever come to the West. Kazuo Koike, a fantastic manga. I had the privilege of reading some of his other series this year, and while they're not all quite as good as this is just a fantastic manga that I think any samurai fan needs to read. Below that, we have Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, volumes 1 through 12 complete in these beautiful hardcovers. I get comments all the time on my videos saying, what's that series to your left with those beautiful spines? The answer is Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, and not only do these spines look amazing, this series is just fantastic. In my top 10 sci-fi manga of all time, and a great place to start if you're looking to get into the Gundam universe. Next to Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin, we have volumes 1 through 11 complete of Bokurano Hours. Now, this manga series is getting really hard to find. In the past, volume 3 was, I think, like the only really hard one to find. But now some of these other volumes are getting up there in price, and the value of this series has just shot up. This is a really good one about these kids who get sucked up into this death game. They have to pilot these mechs to, you know, fight for humanity. Really interesting concept and a really fun, but also really dark manga series. Then below that, we have the completed set of the singles of 20th Century Boys by Naoki Urasawa. This is my favorite Urasawa manga. I've said in the past, and of course you're free to disagree with me. You think Monster is better, you think Pluto is better, you know, they're all great, but 20th Century Boys, just the cast, the suspense, the main character Kenji, the antagonist with the friend, just in a league of their own. I think this is one that basically any manga fan should check out. I think it's just an amazing tale. Then next to that, we have volumes 1 through 8 of Pluto and this random volume 7 that I have extra of. But yeah, Pluto, amazing manga as well. Adapted by a short story called The Greatest Robot in the World by Osamu Tezuka. And I read this series, you know, a couple years ago, but I actually read the story by Osamu Tezuka this year, in fact, like a month ago. and my respect for Pluto just skyrocketed. I mean, just the characters he's able to create that are not in that original story, the artwork obviously, and just making this children's manga story into a really dark, character-driven, suspense-filled series is really impressive. So this is definitely a good one. Everyone should check out as well. Now moving down to the shelf below, we have some more amazing classic manga that so many people love, and for good reason. We have Vagabond volumes 1 through 37, with 12 in the Vizbigs and obviously 37 the single volume there. I'm not sure if this is ever going to get completed, but I am perfectly content with where this series is at. Ended the farm arc, which is, I think, one of the best in Vagabond. Whenever a manga makes a farming arc, it's just awesome. I don't know what it is about farming that is so hype in manga, but it is. But yeah, this series needs no introduction. I don't need to say anything about it. Absolute classic. Then we have a few other volumes over here. We have Planetes, volumes 1 and 2 by Makoto Yukimura, the author of Vinland Saga. I like Vinland Saga more, but for a time when I first started my channel, this was in my top 10 manga of all time. And obviously, as I read more stuff, it fell out, but this is still a solid 9 out of 10, which is a rating I still really don't give that often. But yeah, amazing sci-fi series, a little slice of life, some really good human emotional moments. And next to that, we have Seraphim, a bunch of numbers, Wings by Mamoru Oshii and Satoshi Kon. This was a super promising manga with some incredible artwork. I'll try and show you a little bit as I can with one hand. But yeah, this actually, basically this volume ended, spoiler alert, with them setting out on their journey. But unfortunately, the manga had to be discontinued as Satoshi Kon passed away before it could be completed. So this is still worth checking out because it's really good, but it's just a shame that we'll never see the ending to what I think would have been an amazing story. Next to that, we have Stargazing Dog, a manga series or a little comic by Takashi Murakami. Not the one you're thinking of, but this one just had me crying as I was reading it. Like literally the entire time I was crying reading this. So if you're a dog lover, proceed at your own risk when checking out this manga. Super sad. Then the final shelf, we have Monster, volumes 1 through 18 by Naoki Urasawa. And these beautiful singles I was lucky enough to piece together a year or two ago. Had a lot of help from viewers, so thank you so much for sending me in some volumes so I could complete this set. I am really due for a reread on this series because I say so often that I think it's really overrated, but at the same time, I think it's great. So I want to go back to it and just see if I can appreciate it more a second time around. Maybe, you know, the expectations were too high going in, as people say this is like the best manga of all time. But yeah, still an amazing series. Love this set. And right next to this old classic, we have a manga series I think will be a new age classic. That is Spy Family. This is my favorite ongoing manga in Shonen Jump. Yeah, we have volumes 1 through 9, which is currently up to date. Super fun, super cute, great art and action. Enough said about this already. You guys know Spy Family is amazing. Then next to that, we have Solo Leveling, volumes 1 through 3, in these beautiful volumes by Yen Press. I'll show you some of the color artwork. Just great volumes, super fun dungeon crawler fantasy series. Loving this one so far. And next to that, if I can put this volume away, we have The Boxer, volume 1 from Eyes Press. This was actually sent to me to review, and I absolutely loved it. Again, a super high quality release with colorful artwork, almost anime-esque drawn action. I mean, look at that. So good, super fast paced and fun. Definitely gonna check more of this out. Now moving on to the second shelf, the first thing we have is GTO Great Teacher Onizuka, volume 1 through 25 complete. The entire series in the singles, and I gotta say, I'm just gonna toot my own horn. This is like the best quality set of singles that I have ever seen. No fading, no yellowing, and yeah, this series is also just absolutely amazing. I do think it's a little bit overrated, but still a great series with some great characters and valuable life lessons. Next to that, we have Sanctuary volumes 1 through 9, one of my absolute favorite sets in my entire manga collection. I love these spines. I know there's a little bit of a glare, but just the colors and how they look is super unique. But as for the actual manga, it's about these two brothers who, you know, want to infiltrate the politics side and the gang side of Japan to completely reform the country It's an amazing blend of, this gangster action and interesting politics, one that I highly, highly recommend. Also, I think I have a manga review out for it if you want to check that out. And then the final volume we have on this shelf is Hiroaki Samura's Emerald and Other Short Stories. Really interesting volume, has some Western stories in it, as well as just some other stuff. I know you can't really see anything, but yeah, really interesting book. If you're a fan of Blade of the Immortal or his other series, Die Vergelder, definitely check this one out. Also, speaking of Blade of the Immortal, one thing you won't see in this manga collection is Blade of the Immortal, which I have bought, but the package just has not come yet. So I do have 1 through 31 of Blade of the Immortal technically in the singles, but just not able to show them off right now in this collection video. Hopefully next year. But the next shelf down, we have my Kaoru Mori shelf. One of the best manga that I've started reading her series recently this year. So starting off here, we have Emma, volumes 1 through 5 complete in the hardcovers. A great Victorian era romance story. These were previously hard to find, some of them, but I believe that Yen Press has these still in stock right now, so I highly recommend checking this one out. Next to that, we have one of the rarest books in my collection, that is Anything and Something. This is a short story collection by, of course, Kaoru Mori. Some good artwork on the cover and spine, if I do say so. But yeah, this one is varying quality in the stories, but also has some really cool sketches and artwork and some good stories. So I would say if you like Kaoru Mori and you find it for a good price, definitely pick it up. Then we have A Bride's Story, volumes 1 through 13. That is currently up to date. I think I've read through volume 7. I need to get back on this because I recently picked these up. This is my favorite Kaoru Mori manga. The characters, the setting, just the research that's done to make the world feel so alive and realistic is second to none. Also, the artwork is Kaoru Mori at her most detailed and impressive. I think this is a series that literally anybody could enjoy. If you like shoujo, if you like action, if you like politics or dark seinen manga, I think you will have a blast with this one. This one is super underrated as of right now. But next to that, we also have, I guess we'll go up here. This is Shirley, volume 1 by Kaoru Mori. This is kind of like a predecessor to Emma, one of her earlier works that only got 1 volume put out in English. I believe there are technically 2 though, but this one is very cute and very fun. Cool to see Kaoru Mori's earlier stuff. But next to that, we have Naruto, the Collector's Edition. This is a super cool volume. Now, you're not going to see any other Naruto in my collection. I have read it, but I sold it off just to make space because, 72 volumes is a lot of shelf real estate. But I like keeping this around, first because I got it from a viewer for a great price, and second, it's just an amazing volume and reminds me that Naruto was a really fun ride, so I can reminisce on the memories I have with the series by just having this one singular volume. Next to that, we have volumes 1 through 4 complete of Clamp's Clover. Now, I don't know anything about this, and I haven't read anything from Clamp, I don't believe, but I got these premium editions from my half-price books recently for an amazing price. These are kind of hard to find as well, so glad to have these on the shelves. Now, moving down to the next shelf, we have my favorite, or one of my favorite sports series of all time, Slam Dunk, volumes 1 through 31. Now, I'm so glad that these volumes, you can actually find them in stock now. I think for my past couple manga collections, I've said, I recommend this if you can find it, but now I believe these volumes are readily available. So yeah, great sports series. I think one, again, that anybody can enjoy, has my highest recommendation from the author of Vagabond and some other great manga series. Definitely check it out. Then behind this little gunpla that I built, we have Strain, volumes 1 through 5 by Bernstein, the author of Fist of the North Star, which we'll get into a little bit. And Ryuichi Ikegami, one of my favorite manga artists, just has a classic manga style, super vintage. He's also the author, or I guess the illustrator of Sanctuary that I just talked about, one of my favorite manga series of all time. Yeah, this one is not as good as Sanctuary. It's absolutely crazy. There's like some weird incest storylines and some just batshit insane plot points. That's all I have to say about that one. Moving down to the next shelf, the first thing we have is volumes 1 through 20 of Sergeant Frog. Now, this is a series that the anime is what really got me into watching anime when I was younger, so this series is super nostalgic, and I was lucky enough to find almost the entire set. I'm missing volume 21, but I also have all of the holographic volumes. I'm not sure how well you can see, But all the volumes that ever got holographic covers, I do have, which is something that I think a lot of people have been trying to piece together, and I was lucky enough to do pretty quickly. So yeah, I'm about 4 volumes into this one, need to get back on it, but it's really fun and really nostalgic for me, as this is a super important series on my manga and anime journey. Next to that, we have Alive, volumes 1 through 5 and 8. Only 8 volumes were ever put out into English. Haven't read this, don't know anything about it, but I found these volumes for mostly good deals, so I'm going to get into this one pretty soon as well. Next, we have a couple random things: Gantz Minus, a Japanese light novel, and this super beat up copy of Gantz 17 that I've used in a couple of TikToks and skits, so I just like to keep it around if I need a manga volume to beat up and abuse. But behind the double stack, as you can see, we have the up-to-date set, I believe, or maybe I'm missing a volume, of One Punch Man, volumes 1 through 25. Come to think of it, I think 26 is out, so I take that back, but again, one that really needs no introduction. Also have the Loot Crate, Volume 1, which has some alternate artwork on the cover, on the spine, and the back cover. I used to have the San Diego Comic-Con one, but I sold it off because somebody offered me $200 for it, so I was like, you know what, you can have it. But next to that, we have another super nostalgic manga, that is Ultimo Character Dojo by Stan Lee and Hiroyuki Takei, the author of Shaman King. This is another manga that I read in the Shonen Jump magazines that were put out in English when I was in elementary school, and just was infatuated by these first few chapters, read them over and over again, and now I have the entire completed set, which is one of the coolest things in my manga collection. I'll probably never get rid of it, even though the series itself isn't amazing, it just means a whole lot to me to have. Now I just moved them so I could show you the last shelf, but we also have box set, I think it was this 3 and 4 of One Piece, which we'll get into later, but just want to mention I do have these box sets. But you can see One Piece box sets in anyone else's collection. Here we have some more interesting stuff. We have Fist of the North Star, volumes 1 through 8, in these new Viz hardcovers. I absolutely love these releases. Now, I made a post on Instagram saying that I was going to drop this series just because these were going to take up a lot of space and they're pretty expensive, but I decided to keep on reading. About here, it gets more, story-driven and character-driven, which I really like, so I'm going to keep picking these up. Also, the spines just look amazing. Next to that, we have Barefoot Gen, or Barefoot Gen. I always forget, and somebody always corrects me, but we have 1 through 10 in the Last Gasp hardcovers. The mangaka Keiji Nakazawa was actually somebody who lived through the bombing, I believe, of Hiroshima or Nagasaki, I can't remember. And this story is basically about the scourge of war and the atomic bomb, which is, a perspective you just don't really see in this medium all too often, and I think will be a really good read with an extra layer of authenticity. Haven't gotten to this one yet, but it's definitely close up on the TBR for me for things I need to start really soon. But I'll go ahead and move these books and show you what's behind them. So the first series we have on this bottom shelf here is volumes 1 through 8 of Cinema Complete. Now, this is an interesting one as far as collecting goes. I had this, read it, really enjoyed it, but I decided to sell it off because I needed some money. But ever since then, I just needed it back. I don't know what it was, but I was a madman trying to find a set of this for a good price. But recently found a set with half of it sealed, which is crazy. So I don't know if I'm gonna read it anytime soon and unwrap those volumes just because they're really rare and cool to have. But a super underrated ecchi series, I think one of the best ecchi series of all time. Next to that, we have Siren 1 through 16. I absolutely love how this series is getting more attention and love in the past few years. I think this even goes for a decent amount over retail for the complete set. But yeah, this is again a manga that is super nostalgic. One that I read similar to Ultimo in the Shonen Jump magazines that I had when I was in elementary school, and just being able to finish this series was super gratifying. Not your typical battle shonen, more character driven, and the action in power systems aren't quite as good, but the characters and just the plot is what I really love about this series. Super, super good. Next to that, we have Mobile Suit Gundam: The Last Outpost, volumes 1 through 3 complete. Haven't read this, but fun fact, this is one of the first ever manga I bought several years ago. Got these from the half-price books that was next to the grocery store I worked at when I was in high school. So these are also kind of sentimental to me, but I have not read these yet. Next to those, we have Dog Ningen volumes 1 through 3. The first volume of this is one of the funniest videos, I think. One of my best performing videos as well on the entire channel. I think it even got a shout out from the mangaka, or I guess the creator of the comic. But yeah, this is just All memes aside, super funny and really interesting art that I think keeps it fresh. It just has a certain type of comedy that you're not going to find in any other series. Next to that, we have Eminon Volumes 1 through 3, super chill, laid-back series, kind of mysterious as well. I think Volume 4 is coming out sometime this year or next year, so I'll have to be on the lookout for that one. Next to that, we have a couple art books. Now, this is Keiji Goto. I don't know what this guy draws, like what anime he's done, but I found this at my local store, and hopefully I don't flip to the page with a nipple in it. But yeah, just, I mean, some great full color artwork. There's like some mech stuff as well. I think he's like putting his characters into other popular series, which is just really cool. There's like Slam Dunk. Yeah, this was like 10 bucks in my used store. I think goes for way more, but really cool to have. And then of course, Vampire Knight. I haven't read this series. I've heard it's one of the more questionable shoujo series out there. Some people say it's terrible, but regardless of that, I love the artwork. Just really cool to flip through and look at. Absolutely beautiful. So now we're moving on to the shelves that you don't see in the backgrounds of my videos. Starting off with this white shelf that I'm dubbing kind of like my Tezuka, Asano, and then random stuff at the bottom. But here we have, starting off with the Tezuka stuff, Volumes 1 and 2, the hardcovers of Message to Adolf. This is my favorite Osamu Tezuka manga. Yeah, just a masterpiece of writing and character building about 3 people named Adolf in World War II. Obviously Hitler, a Jew named Adolf, and also the son of a Nazi official. Just a beautiful story. If you love monsters ending, you would love this series ending. I won't spoil anything, but yeah. Definitely check this one out if you have not already. An absolute classic in my top 5 favorite manga of all time. Next to that, we're going to continue on with my Osamu Tezuka hardcovers, starting off with Ayako. Man, I love this series. It's super interesting. Does have some more adult themes that and trigger warnings that, you know, not everyone may be comfortable with. So do your own research and, you know, pursue with caution. Next to that, we have MW, pronounced Moo, I believe, with a questionable spine. This one, heavy inspiration for Monster, especially with the main antagonist, somebody who can like shapeshift and just become like other people, obviously not literally, but a master of disguise and manipulation. Really interesting manga, not my favorite from him, but still a very good read. Then we have the Book of Human Insects hardcover, really interesting as well, kind of has another character that can manipulate people and kind of shapeshift as well, so similarities between these two, both great. Then we have Buddha, Volumes 1 through 8. This series is so special, telling the life of Siddhartha, or the Buddha, as he becomes enlightened, just following him throughout his whole life. And it's honestly just this epic story that I absolutely loved. It was a little bit of a slow burn, but it is super rewarding to finish, and just the characters, the classic Tezuka artwork, it's awesome. Next to that, we have the last hardcover in my collection from Tezuka that I actually picked up recently. That is a holy grail. That is The Mysterious Underground Men. This book is not easy to find from Tencent, a defunct manga publisher, but I'll try to show you a little bit. All colored artwork, has that vintage look. That's, yeah, you guys get what I'm saying. Really cool book. Glad to have this and have found it for a decent price. Then we have Osamu Tezuka's Ode to Kirihito. Also read this one recently. Unfortunately, I don't have the singles, but the omnibus is fine for me. Basically about this disease that turns people into dogs, and just the scientist, or I forget if he's like a reporter or whatever, tries to crack the code. Yeah, really interesting story. Loved it when I read it. Then we have this other shelf, which again is completely filled with Osamu Tezuka manga. Starting off here on the top left, we have basically the holy, I guess, quartet. I was going to say Trinity, but there are 4 volumes. Lost World, Next World, and Metropolis. I have 2 copies of Metropolis. Don't ask why. These are some of Tezuka's earlier works, and I will say they're not very good. They're interesting to read just to see, you know, some of his earlier stuff, but definitely not the highest quality that Osamu Tezuka has to offer, I will say. Then we have my stuff that was put out by Platinum Manga, or DMP. They kind of kickstart a lot of these older Tezuka series to put them in English, which is really cool. We have 1 to 3, still shrink wrapped, haven't read it. Triton of the Sea, also haven't read it. Captain Ken, I got these 2 volumes when I bought my Phoenix set, which of course I have since sold, but Still have 1 and 2 of Captain Can, a really fun manga series, one of the most fun he has to offer. Then we have A Clockwork Apple, which is a short story collection, a lot of sci-fi. This is one of my favorite Osamu Tezuka manga, and it's a short story collection, so that should just go to show you how amazing the quality is in this. Then we have 1 and 2 of Alabaster, about this disfigured man who comes to hate everything that is beautiful. That's not him. There he is. Yeah, he has a messed up face. He's like partially invisible. And basically just has this super villain plot to destroy everything beautiful. I think Tezuka said this is one that he doesn't like, or one that he wasn't really proud of, but I still think this is a solid 7 out of 10. I enjoyed reading it. Then we have Swallowing the Earth, one I got very recently, another hard to find DMP manga. Dororo volumes 1 through 3 in the singles, a classic Tezuka manga. More action in this one, so if you're into action but looking for something to read from Tezuka, I would definitely recommend this one. Princess Knight and the Twin Knights, which is a little bit of like a epilogue, I guess, to the series. This is one of the funniest manga I've ever read. It basically reads like a Disney movie. It's about this princess who's forced to live as a boy for political reasons and basically put on this act. Some good themes of gender identity and, feminism in this one, which is pretty cool to see for an older manga. Then we have Apollo Song volumes 1 and 2. This started out as one of my favorite potentially Tezuka series, looking like a 9 or 10 out of 10 with this first volume. I think the second volume kind of tailed off, but this is still a great one about this man who is terrible, but he's sentenced by some deity to fall in love over and over again throughout time and keep reliving, the heartbreak and tragedy. Really interesting concept. Then we have Bamba, which is another one I got very recently by Osamu Tezuka. Love how this volume looks, but haven't read this one yet. And then we have my Astro Boy singles. We have 1 through 23 up there with obviously volume 5 in the front here. I've read up through volume 13, I believe, so I have to get back on this one. I'm missing one more volume, I think 14. But yeah, this is just, again, a classic, extremely influential, episodic, more children-focused manga, but still a lot of fun to be had with this series. Moving on down to the next shelf, the first thing you'll see is Classroom of the Elite, volumes 1 through 11.5, year 1, and then year 2, volumes 1 and 2. As you can see from my bookmark, I've gotten about halfway through volume 8, but it's been forever since I've read this. This is still an amazing light novel. I know some actual light novel, diehard fans think it's so overrated and trash, but I absolutely love it, so I'm going to keep on reading this series, regardless of what haters say. Behind Classroom of the Elite, we have my Inio Asano shelf, so we'll start out here from the left with Nijigahara Holograph in the beautiful hardcover. Yeah, this is one of his most experimental manga, not for people looking to get into Asano, but if you're a fan of Asano already established, definitely check this one out. It's super interesting. Downfall about this mangaka who's, struggling to find success after having a successful manga series. As you can tell by the title, Downfall and the Depression, kind of a window into Inio Asano's own personal life, which is really interesting, but also super sad. And then we have What a Wonderful World, volumes 1 and 2, a short story collection of varying quality, but I would say I have mostly positive things to say about this series. I think volume 1 is kind of hard to find, but if you can find it for a great price, I would totally check it out. Then we have, for the first time ever in my manga collection videos, a completed set of my favorite Asano manga, Dead Dead Demons Destruction. This is his best series in my opinion. I know that's controversial given some of his other series he has, but just a fantastic sci-fi manga with a lot of ties to real-world issues like immigration and politics and the media. A really great commentary about our own lives as society progresses into the modern age and technology information age. Super good. Then we have Solanin volume, 1 and 2 in this one omnibus. Yeah, I don't know why I said that, but Solanin, great manga about the joy of, making music and just finding out who you are and what you want to do as a young adult, which is something that, has been very relevant to me as I graduate college and eventually, hopefully, go out to the real world here pretty soon with my career. Then we have Goodnight Punpun, 1 through 7, probably Asano's most popular manga, and for good reason. It's absolutely great. I have seen some Punpun slander on YouTube, which is unfortunate. It is edgy, it's angsty, but I think that the characters and the way the story is told is really captivating. Again, not going to be for everybody. but it's definitely for me. I absolutely love this manga. Next, we'll move over here. I'll move Trunks out of the way, and we can finish out the Inio Asano manga with his best series, Girl on the Shore. Yeah, I'm just kidding. This manga is not great, but I'm a completionist, so we still have it. Honestly, probably should read this one again because I know some people absolutely love it. I'm not one of those people, but maybe there's something I missed on the first time around. Next to that, we have The God's Lie by Kaoru Ozaki, which is a very good short story, pretty emotional about these two kids. I can't remember exactly what it's about. Something about growing up and childhood and stuff like that. Also some pretty interesting twists about halfway through that I was not expecting. So yeah, this is a good one that I would recommend everybody pick up. Then we have My Broken Mariko, which I have seen more people picking up and talking about, which is great. This one definitely reminds me of Inio Asano, even though it's not by him. This is a beautiful Yen Press hardcover, great one-shot story encapsulated into this beautiful volume. Again, if you like Inio Asano, check this one out. You're doing yourself a favor. Then below that, we have my random stuff shelf. We have 1 through 6 of Tokyo Tribes by Santa Inoue. Really underrated series. It's so underrated, I can't even finish the series because more than 6 volumes were put out, but there is not even a scanlated version of this series online that I can find anywhere. You can look, you're not going to find one for this particular series, but it's really good about these gangs in Tokyo that are warring. They're out in the streets. It's ridiculous, but also so fun to read. Above that, we have volumes 1 and 2 of Kabuto. This is a Comics 1 manga that I picked up very recently in a bundle with some other manga that we'll get to pretty soon here. Don't know anything about this, but Comics 1 always has me interested. They have some pretty good series. Another Comics 1 manga we have is Offered and Wounded Man. Now, this is an almost completed set, again, by Kazuo Koke, the author of Lone Wolf and Cub, illustrated by Ryuichi Ikigami. It's like the 3rd time I've said his name. One of my favorite manga artists of all time, so of course I was going to be interested in this one. Missing volumes 3 and 4, so once I find those, I'll start off on this series. Haven't heard many good things about it, but I still kind of want to try it, just out of my own curiosity. Next to that is Aria the Masterpiece, volumes 1 through 7. I think it's basically impossible to get these for retail anymore, but I was lucky enough to snag my set when Right Stuff reprinted these beautiful, beautiful volumes. And this manga is amazing. It just makes you feel good about this girl who, you know, obviously in the far future, goes to this other planet to become an Undine or a gondola rower. Just about pursuing your dreams, making friendships. Just a wholesome manga with great artwork. Absolutely love Aria. Then at the very bottom here, we have one of the coolest manga sets in my entire collection. That is Battle Angel Alita, complete volumes 1 through 9, the original series, and then complete volumes 1 through 19 in the singles. Obviously, Kodansha, what are you doing? You couldn't finish out with the colorful, beautiful spines. You had to go and flub it all up with these ugly gray ones, but it's whatever. I'm not mad. Does it sound like I'm mad? It just baffles me how this manga is simultaneously like a regarded classic that everybody loves, but at the same time is super underrated still. Like, it was extremely influential. It holds up great. Great artwork, one of the best female leads of all time in all of manga. But somehow, like, nobody talks about it, especially the younger generation who getting into manga. I think that younger people like myself really need to give Alita a chance. Yes, it's a bit older, but it holds up amazing, and just a fantastic sci-fi journey that is really unlike anything you can read anywhere else. Above that, we have this random volume of Orfina that I got at my local store. Looks pretty cool. I'll get to it eventually. I don't know if I'm going to pick up the rest, because I think they're pretty rare, actually. But then we have volumes 1 through 3 of Joan by Yoshikazu Yasuhiko, who's the author of Mobile Suit Gundam The Origin. Now, this is not about Joan of Arc, but it's during the same time. And what's really cool about this, I've showed this off before, but the entire manga is these beautiful watercolored panels, and just the colors are so vibrant. It looks so amazing. Got these recently for a good price, so excited to get into this one. And then you may be wondering, what are those books next to that behind Aria? Those ones I can't show on YouTube, so we're going to go ahead and go to the next shelf. Alright, so starting off on the top shelf on the next bookcase, we have kind of like my light novel shelf, starting off with something that I've been piecing together over this past year or so that I am super proud of. That is an almost completed set of Vampire Hunter D. Now, I am missing a couple volumes here. I think 21, 23, and 24, which are going to be an absolute pain in the ass to complete. But I do have some of the other rare, super expensive, I'm talking like $200 plus volumes. And overall, I'm like less than $300 into this series, which is incredible. I think a full set just sold for like 2,500 bucks on eBay, which is nuts. But yeah, this series is interesting. The world is super cool, but I'm not a huge fan of how it's written. But I'm gonna still keep reading it because obviously I'm not gonna have another chance to read these physical volumes ever again. So yeah, Vampire Hunter D. Check out Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust. It's a movie that's amazing. Gotta plug it every time I talk about this series. Then above that, we have 3 Days of Happiness. I've heard amazing things about this light novel. Picked this up recently, and again, every time I mention it, people are like, yeah, this is amazing. I think it's in the top 20 on Mal as well, which is really cool. So yeah, gonna get to that one soon as well, hopefully. Then behind Goku here, we have first Devil May Cry and Devil May Cry 2. These are the light novels. Recently played Devil May Cry on the PS2 and really enjoyed it. So might have to get into these ones pretty soon, we'll see. And then we have the Monogatari box set one. Again, just a super popular anime, and I hear the light novel's even better. Have yet to get into this one. I know it's been several years since I bought it, but eventually I'll get into it. So moving down, we're getting into the classics, some of the best stuff in my entire manga collection, and I think that you guys will agree, starting off with volumes 1 through 41, complete or up to date, of Berserk. Now, obviously, I believe it was 2 years ago now, time just flies, that the author Kentaro Miura passed away, leaving this series seemingly unconcluded, but I believe, I mean, the news is always changing, but I think that some assistants or people who know the vision are going to try to continue this series. I believe, someone can fact check me if I'm wrong, but that is super exciting because obviously Berserk, another series that needs no introduction, absolutely amazing. And I love these DMP singles, how those logos look, they all match up, look amazing. Love this series so much. Need to get back and reread this one very soon. Then above that, we have 2 other Kentaro Miura manga that are really hard to find. We have King of Wolves by Burnson, again the author of Fist of the North Star, and illustrated by Miura. Same with Japan, which I'll get to in a second. King of Wolves, I like a lot. About these people who go back in time and I think have to fight like Genghis Khan or something like that. It's crazy concept with time travel, but it's really fun. Enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. And then Japan, which is kind of a similar story, honestly. Like these people get taken back in time through this weird portal and then live in like this Mad Max environment. This one is not as good. Definitely has a lot of propaganda at the forefront, which is, you know, do with that what you will, but yeah, still enjoyed that one to a pretty good degree. And these are just really cool collector's items to have. Now moving on down, we have, of course, you knew it was coming, my favorite manga series of all time, Gantz 1 through 37. I don't know what else I can say about Gantz to get you to read it. It's crazy. The artwork is awesome. There are boobs in skin-tight latex suits. There's action, there's drama, there's crazy deaths, cool weapons, aliens. There's everything you could ever want in a batshit insane sci-fi series. Hiroyo Oku, one of the most creative minds in all of manga currently working. Love Gantz so much. So glad to have this holy grail set on my shelves. Probably will never leave my collection. Now moving down, we have a shelf almost completely dedicated to one of my other favorite manga of all time, Taiyo Matsumoto. Now starting off here, we have a comic called The Tipping Point. Now this one, as you can see, has a story in it by Taiyo Matsumoto. I didn't know until I bought it, but as you can see, where is he? Right next to Taiyo Matsumoto under him, Naoki Urasawa actually has a story in this, which is really cool. I didn't know that at all, but if you're a Taiyo Matsumoto or Naoki Urasawa completionist, definitely check this one out. There's some great stories in it. Then we have volumes 1 and 2 of number 5. These are the pulp singles, by far one of the most pointless editions of my manga collection, but they are so cool. These are the first 2 volumes of number 5 before the series was canceled. Again, large print artwork, actually good paper quality, unlike the Tekkon Kinkuri all-at-one. And as you can see, kind of, yeah, there you go. Some colored pages at the beginning. Really cool release. I loved reading these before I got into the new release from Viz. And believe me, we'll talk about number 5 in a minute, but Moving on from left to right, we have Japan. Similar to Tipping Point, this is another short story collection with a story by Taiyo Matsumoto. Also, if I can see, yeah, there at the bottom, Jiro Taniguchi, who is another popular kind of cult following mangaka with some great material out. I don't have anything by him in my collection currently, but I used to have Summon of the Gods. I sold that off, but still a great manga series. Then we have Ping Pong, probably his most popular manga series, and for great reason, in my top 20 manga of all time. A fantastic sports series. Obviously, you can see a little bit of the manga artwork. I'll spare myself trying to open it up, but the artwork is so cool. Great ping pong action, and really encapsulates the vigor of sports and youth perfectly. Then we have Cats of the Louvre. Love this spine about these kind of human-like cats who live in the attic of the Louvre, obviously the most famous art museum in the world in Paris, France. Just a super underrated manga, and one that I think is so good at capturing the, surreal aspect and world building that Taiyo Matsumoto is known for. This is a great example of that. Absolutely loved it. Then we have Sunny, volumes 1 through 6 complete. Again, love these volumes. They have like this rough feeling to them, and you'll notice all these releases that Viz does for Taiyo Matsumoto are insanely high quality, and Sunny is no different. Also a great manga series about these orphans who, have this childhood innocence but have also gone through some tough things as well as they just live their young lives. A beautiful manga series. And speaking of beautiful, we have potentially the most beautiful manga release in my entire collection. That is Go Go Monster by Taiyo Matsumoto. Now I'm missing the slipcover, but that's fine with me because I love how this book looks. Also, you can see the red pages, the floral pattern. Go Go Monster for Taiyo Matsumoto is what Nijigahara Holograph is for Inio Asano. By far the most experimental, surreal, mind-bending series he has. And for Taiyo Matsumoto, who's the master of surreal and dreamlike, that is saying a lot. So yeah, this one not gonna be for everyone, but I really enjoyed it. Then we have number 5. Now, we have volumes 1 through 4 of the new Viz release that is complete. Love these editions as well. I mean, just the covers, just the artwork on them are beautiful, and love the oil shiny on the text. Yeah, this is my favorite Taiyo Matsumoto manga. Probably my top 3 manga of all time. I mean, just incredible. I did a manga review on it, so I won't talk about it too much. If you want to hear my full thoughts, check that video out. And now that this entire series is in print and available for you to purchase, I'm telling you, you gotta go check it out. It's amazing. Then the last Taiyo Matsumoto manga, or actually not the last, second to last. Let me move Gohan right here. We have Blue Spring, which is a short story collection about delinquents and all sorts of stuff. There's some great short stories in this one, also some that aren't quite as good. So for the amount of money that this cost, it's not going to be for your average manga fan. You gotta really love Taiyo Matsumoto. Take the good with the bad if you're looking to pick up this volume. But if you're a fan of Taiyo Matsumoto, or you find this for a good price, it is super interesting and I would recommend it, honestly. Then above that, we have Lady Snowblood Gaiden, which is actually a self-printed manga volume I got from Weebra, who's a fellow friend and YouTube manga creator. Again, self-print, so you can't actually buy this, but it's illustrated by Ryuichi Ikegami, who I guess I've mentioned him like 4 or 5 times now. But again, thank you Weebra for sending me this really cool self-print to have. Then the final Taiyo Matsumoto manga I have is volumes 1 through 3 of Tekken Kinkuri, aka Black and White. I don't like this series as much as I thought I would, and I know some people absolutely love this. It's like their favorite. Definitely do for a reread because I think it has some really strong elements. But yeah, this one let me down a little bit, but I would say this is a great starting place to get into Taiyo Matsumoto's manga. Now, besides that, we have some really cool volumes. This is kind of like my little pulp section here. We have 1 through 3 of Uzumaki by Junji Ito. Now, anybody can go out and buy the gray and black hardcover, but how many manga tubers you know with the full set of the out-of-print pulp singles? I'll show you the covers of some of these here. Just really cool, have these embossed covers on them, you've textured. A great release, and Uzumaki I think is a horror classic and deserves to be in your collection. A super important piece of manga history that not only influenced so much horror manga to come, but also Junji Ito just keeps making the same manga story over and over again. So yeah, Uzumaki, good manga series, definitely check it out if you have not already. Then we have Shortcuts by Usamara Furuya. Volumes 1 and 2, these are like the short story books. Some sexual humor, Not going to be for everybody, but this is also the author of No Longer Human, which we'll get into a second. So very cool to have these little or very rare expensive books. Then next to that we have Jacko the Galactic Patrolman and Sandman, both by Akira Toriyama, the author of Dragon Ball. Haven't gone into either of these, but I recently got Sandland. I think it's actually getting a new video game, which is kind of crazy for a not like extremely popular manga by any means, but definitely gonna check these out and maybe check out the game. We'll see how good these two are. Then on this bottom shelf here, it's an absolute mess, so we're gonna go through this pretty quickly. First, we have volume 1, or I guess omnibus 1 of X by Clamp. Recently got this at the local store. This is like a very, I think, one of the more rare ones in the set, so I'll probably sell this one and hopefully get the singles, which I think look a lot cooler. Then we have some light novels down here, Spice and Wolf, missing a few there, and ReZero 1 through 3. Both of these are series that I've read a little bit of the manga for and liked, but decided to go the light novel route just because I heard it was better. Then we have Lucifer and the Biscuit Hammer, complete volumes 1 through 10. This recently got reprinted by 7 Seas, and I actually picked this up used from Sam Sidequest, another friend and fellow manga tuber, so looking forward to getting into this one pretty soon. Then we have volumes 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of Kuroda Hirano's Hellsing. Now, this is one I had in my collection years ago, another super nostalgic series that I enjoyed a lot when I was in middle school. Hellsing, not a great manga, but one that I'm unfortunately really nostalgic about, so gotta keep it around in the collection. And now that we've cleared out the books that were in front, we'll get into what was in the back, starting off with two bigger, larger books here. We have Shion Blade of the Minstrel, very rare book. This is in the Viz Spectrum editions, which I think there are only like a handful that were ever printed, where we got this same edition. Just, I mean, stupendous artwork that is really unique. Again, this is another series that you just can't find scanlated in English. At least I couldn't when I was trying to complete reading this series. Really interesting dark fantasy series, similar to Berserk. If you can find it for a good price, I would totally cop it. Then we have Even a Monkey Can Draw Manga, which is another pulp manga volume. Super rare as well. I mean, yeah, you just do not see this volume very often. Again, comedy, very meta, an interesting one for sure. But then we have volumes 1 through 10 of Hiroyo Oku's Gigant, finally complete. This is not as good as Gantz. It's not as good as Inuyashiki, but it's still a fun manga with some good art that I liked quite a bit. And then below that we have the complete set of Rurouni Kenshin in the Viz Bigs volume 1 through 9. I read this about a month or two ago, and yeah, this is one of my favorite shonen series of all time. Kenshin is a great character, and all the other characters are really great. The art style, character designs are super badass. It's a shame that the manga is kind of a piece of shit, but you know, it is what it is. I can separate the art from the artist. I bought these used, so I'm not supporting him in any way by reading this series. And yeah, if you can do the same, I would highly recommend Rurouni Kenshin, a fantastic samurai manga, and I think one of the best series Shonen Jump has to offer. Next to that, we have Inuyashiki by Hiroyo Oku, volumes 1 through 10. I read this entire series in one night, super addicting, about this old man who's down on his luck. You know, his family doesn't love him, just everything sucks in his life, and then he gets like a robot upgrade, which is really interesting to see. Yeah, definitely very fun. Super fast-paced, great artwork, as you can expect from Hiroyo Oku. Highly recommend this one. Next to that, we have Volume 2 of Rose of Versailles. This is the Udon hardcover. Found this for half price at a local store a couple years ago. Have yet to get the rest of these, but this is a great release. Here's one of the best, most influential shoujo series of all time, so definitely on my radar. And next to that, we have 1 through 3 of Shadow Lady there in the corner. We have Dangerous Love, The Awakening, and Sudden Death. This is the completed series by Masakazu Katsura, the author of Eyes and Video Girl Eye, which we'll get into in a second. Super promising first volume, kind of falls off because I think it got canceled in the second and third one, like super rushed, and yeah, just not very good near the end, but still a lot of fun, super cute little romance, magical girl series. It is what it is. I enjoy this one a good amount. And finally, we have arrived at the final bookcase. We have 5 more shelves full of amazing manga to get through, so let's start off at the top here with Knights of Sidonia Complete, volumes 1 through 15. Now, I've gotten questions about this in the past, so I might as well answer here. These, when I bought them, were in these, like, as you can see, kind of plastic coverings to protect them from wear and dust, which is good, but I don't think I can ever get these off. Trust me, I've tried. But yeah, similar to Blam, which we'll get into in a minute, a great sci-fi series that lets the reader kind of piece things together. It gives you information in a way where you have to fill in a lot of the blanks and decide things for yourself as you uncover the lore and the mysteries of the universe. Really good. The singles are a little bit hard to find, but I think that the master editions are a great release as well for this and Blam as well, so highly recommend both those series. Then we have my Hiroki Endo manga. We have Tenpenshu Volumes 1 and 2 complete, short story collection, by far the best short story collection I own and I've ever read. Just fantastic quality. Every single story is a hit, and I can't even describe like the theme of it, but it's very philosophical, thought-provoking, some good sci-fi ones as well, and his artwork is just fantastic, especially in Eden, It's an Endless World. We have volumes 1 through 14, the official Dark Horse release. That's all that was put out in English. And then we have the new version of the self-prints, volumes 1 through 18, to round out the series. I wish they were the same height, but you know, you can't always get what you want. But yeah, this is probably my second favorite sci-fi manga of all time. I mean, the universe is so expansive. The action is the best manga action you will ever find in manga. There's crazy kills, dramatic turns and twists in the story. So many interesting plot lines. I mean, again, this is like a holy grail manga series that not a lot of people get to experience physically, but if you can, definitely pick it up. And if you don't want to spend a shit ton of money, just read it online. It is absolutely amazing. Below that, we have, look at that, another manga holy grail. I've just got so many of those in my collection, it seems. But here we have my set of Basara. Now, this is almost complete. As maybe tell, we have missing 19, which I swear there is like one copy that exists in the entire universe. Then we are missing 22 and 23, but we're only missing those 3. And besides that, we have a complete set of Basara. Actually finished this manga yesterday, and it was fantastic. Obviously, it's a shoujo series, so, you know, people who are like diehard seinen fans or whatever may be scared off, but there is so much to love for everybody in this manga. Yes, there's the romance aspect, which I think is fantastic. The characters, the whole cast is amazing. The artwork is almost like impressionist, which is super unique and makes the experience awesome. And it's also just like, there's so much violence and war and just crazy stuff that happens with the story that I think writing this off as a shoujo series so you're not going to read it is just a really poor excuse. I think anybody could enjoy this, and I sure as hell really enjoyed my read-through of Basara. Highly recommend it. Then we have some, what's his name? Shuzo Oshimi. Yeah, I just forgot. Completely blanked. We have a few Shuzo Oshimi things. Also, I forgot to mention I have Waltz and Miss Kusakabe on another shelf, completely glossed over. But anyway, Flowers of Evil 1 through 11 in these singles. Super fast-paced, dark, really, I mean, just nerve-wracking, intense series at times for this first half. And then this second half, it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful manga writing. That's all I can say about it. Amazing series. Then we have Avant-Garde Yumiko. Hopefully I can show this cover on YouTube. About this girl who likes drawing wieners. Yeah, she must have seen Superbad a few dozen times. But yeah, this one was really fun. Again, super out there. Not gonna be for everybody, obviously. But yeah, I enjoyed it. So that's all that matters in my book. Below that, we have my Vinland Saga shelf. Now, you guys are going to think I'm crazy. First off, this is my second favorite manga of all time. Absolutely wonderful. I haven't watched the anime, but the manga, what it does with character development, with Thorfinn, with themes of, you know, pacifism and just, you know, being a good person. Amazing. Amazing manga. I have not read the newest 2 books, and I know that's like crazy. You're gonna think I'm insane or that I'm lying for saying this is my favorite manga or second favorite and have not read the most recent volumes, but I just want to save these up until the series is completed and then just read them, because to be honest with you, I really don't like waiting a year and a half for each volume to come out. This is not how I like to read manga, so maybe I'll wait for 1 or 2 more before I start, you know, to finish Vinland Saga. I hear it's in its final arc maybe, but yeah, Vinland Saga, fantastic manga. Then we have No Longer Human by Usamara Furuya, volumes 1 through 3. This is a set I never thought I would own in my manga collection. No, when I was first starting out, these were like a $300 set, But ever since the omnibus came out, these have gone down in price a decent amount. You can complete this entire set for like 100 or less, which is something that I decided would be worth it for my own collection. So glad to have these. A very dark manga, obviously. Lots of trigger warning, sexual assault, abuse, suicide, things like that. But yeah, one that I will not soon forget, that is for sure. Moving on to the next shelf, we have one of the most underrated manga series in my entire collection, one I wish so many more people would read and talk about. That is Twin Speak, a complete volumes 1 through 12. Kind of got the Dorohedoro effect where, you know, it just gets progressively thicker and thicker as it goes on. But this is a great series about this girl who wants to become an astronaut. So she goes to the school, meets new friends, overcomes a bunch of obstacles to reach her goal and her purpose in life. Supernatural aspect as well, that is really cool, adds an aspect of mystery, has some sad emotional moments as well, which elevate the quality of this series, in my opinion, to a whole other level. So yeah, again, a rare one that not a lot of people are going to be able to find, especially for a good price. But regardless, I urge you to read this manga. It is so heartwarming and just a fantastic manga series in general. Speaking of fantastic manga, we have Peak Fiction right next to it with Don't Toy With Me, Miss Nagatoro, volumes 1 through 14, including, obviously as the super fan I am, had to get the Books A Million exclusive volume 1. Yeah, say what you will about this manga. Yeah, it's not anything groundbreaking. The first, part of it is really derivative of itself and repetitive, with this girl basically bullying, which I guess is another controversial element of the series, basically toying with this nerdy guy. But yeah, as it goes on, I mean, it's really heartwarming. It's a cute little high school romance kind of series with some good comedy. I like the characters, so I'm gonna keep picking this one up. Yeah, really enjoy Nagatoro every time these volumes come out. Next to that, we have another underrated manga series, similar to Twin Speaka. This one, not quite as good, but still probably equally as underrated. Here we have Togari volumes 1 through 8. Now, I've read 1 through 4. It's about this guy who, in his life, he was basically treated as less than human. So he killed a bunch of people back in his time, and then he goes to hell, gets tormented, but then given a second chance to go back to the world of the living with this wooden sword and kill the incarnations of people's sins. And if he kills like 108, then I guess he could return to being a human. It's definitely a little bit edgy, maybe a little bit too much for some people's tastes, but I'm personally having a lot of fun with it right now and don't see enough people talking about it for the amount of fun I'm having with it. So if this sounds like something that's interesting to you, I would recommend checking it out because I've really enjoyed it so far. Then moving down to the final shelf, I really wish I had a prettier site to show you, but this is kind of like just stuff I didn't know where to put. So I guess we'll start off with this stack of manga that Yen Press sent me to read and review. So really appreciate them for sending me this stuff. I'm still working through this stack, but as you can see, lots of new titles and things that I think sound really interesting. Behind those books, we have volumes 91 through 102 of One Piece. These are just the volumes that I don't have, a box set for. Speaking of which, I have to show you my box set still, so we'll get that after this. But then we have 2 One Piece figures that I got from the manga tuber Secret Santa, and we have the Akira box set. This is an essential manga release. I think everybody should read this. Then we have the Barnes & Noble Akira Volume 1, which I'm actually trying to sell right now because I don't really need it, but I bought this years ago. Kind of cool to have. Then we have Astra Lost in Space, volumes 1 through 5. One's right there. Yeah, again, really underrated sci-fi series, Shonen Jump manga that has some crazy twists that I did not see coming. Kind of like Manga Among Us, if you can imagine that. I know that definitely is going to sell a lot of people on the series. But behind that, we have Gone, the Italian box set, volumes 1 through 3 complete. No words in this manga, actually, but this is one of the best manga that I've read this year. Probably the best manga I've read this year so far. Got a manga review coming on this one very soon, so keep an eye out for that. We have next some Lone Wolf and Cub manga that I'm selling that I have duplicates of. Very interesting stuff. We have Blam, volumes 1 through 10. I just casually have this manga holy grail sitting at the bottom, tucked behind some stuff I'm selling. Yeah, Blam. Love it. Again, not a lot of words in this one, but a super rich, dense sci-fi atmosphere that leads you to fill in the gaps, to, make inferences for yourself. Love it when a manga can do that. Then we have the new Kodansha hardcover for Noise, which is, I believe, a prequel to Blam. It's not the highest quality. It's kind of, ambiguous, which, some people will like, but I enjoyed it quite a bit. Then we have Peach Girl, volumes 1 through 4, and I can't be asked to move these books, but I have the box set with 4 through 8 back there as well as the Silent Voice box set, which again, is a great series, don't get me wrong, but just how my collection is set up has to be relegated to the back of the shelf, covered by other stuff. It is how it is. We also have some No Longer Human volumes that I'm trying to sell, again, just nowhere else to put them. And then the final thing we have is Video Girl I, volumes 1 through 15, missing volume 10, which is insanely hard to find. Again, great romance series, I believe, pretty similar to Eyes, about this guy who puts in this videotape from this magical video store, and it spawns out this girl called a video girl who's basically there to make him happy. Interpret that how you will. But yeah, this is a really cute, really fun manga series that I enjoyed quite a bit. Super addicting, and I would highly recommend it. So I guess the last thing I have to show you is my manga box sets. We have the Dragon Ball Z complete set, as well as Dragon Ball tucked away down there. And then we have box set 1 and 2 of One Piece. So I have every One Piece box set. Obviously, I don't really want to put them all on here because that would be way too heavy and would destroy my $35 Target shelves. So I'm playing it safe, but I think they look great up here. And I have all the One Piece box sets, all of Dragon Ball, and yeah, very proud of the few box sets that I do have. So guys, that is going to do it for my manga collection video for 2023. I really hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope it was worth the wait, and I really hope you got some recommendations or found some of the series I have on my shelves interesting, because I love them all. I love to talk about them, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Again, if you enjoyed the video or you're new here, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more manga videos just like this. So yeah, this has been ThePromG. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and as always, hope to catch you in the next one.